Early into the GameCube's lifecycle, developer Radical Entertainment was hard at work putting out their unique take for a snowboarding title called Dark Summit. While the extreme sports scene was huge during this era, some developers were trying to create more unique experiences so that they didn't feel too similar. So, is Dark Summit a ride worth exploring, or are some secrets best kept buried? Let's find out. Dark Summit's story starts off with Mount Garrick being taken over by the military that patrols via skis and has a thing against snowboarders. Our protagonist, Naya, runs into Chief O'Leary, who threatens her a bit, and she takes off to go down to the bottom of the mountain. At this point, she receives a phone call on her handy-dandy Nokia phone, remember these phones? Whom notifies her that things aren't as they appear. Throughout the game, indeed, things are not as they appear, as there's a secret weapon on the mountain that threatens far more than just those on Mount Garrick, and it's up to you to stop it. The story isn't deep by any means, but it sets up what it needs to so that you know what you're up against. There are a cast of other characters that you will meet, several of which will help you find bombs on the mountain to use in the final act. These interactions are as minimal as they get though, which is a shame. There are other characters in the mountain like this park ranger who's ready to take you down for feeding a bear, and this woman who's really pissed off that you've knocked down her brother. The story does take a plot twist however, and I appreciated that for sure. Overall, nothing amazing, but it sets up the setting and tone well enough. Dark Summit's gameplay starts off on the lower part of the mountain, where you will run into cell towers that contain objectives. Objectives will pertain to the overall story and consists of moments like take down 3 ski patrol soldiers, to knocking off Chief O'Leary's turkey on the picnic table, to some more trick-based ones like pull off X number of tricks or combos. As you complete objectives, you will earn ski lift points that accumulate and prove your worth moving to the higher part of the mountain to tackle. There are approximately 45 missions in total, and you will not need to complete them all to see the game's credits, leaving room for flexibility if some missions are proving too difficult. Dark Summit's controls are fairly accessible. You'll use the analog stick or D-pad to carve left or right, as well as lean forward and backward to control your speed. The A button allows you to jump, and holding it down will let you prep for the jump. You can use the L and R triggers to zoom the camera out so that you can see if there's any patrols tailing you, which becomes very handy in several missions. The Y button lets you grind when holding it down, and pressing and holding the X button while airborne will let you do grab tricks. Movement in general is pretty responsive, although when getting up from bailing, the control can sometimes feel jarring trying to reorient Naya. In terms of the trick system, what's here is a little bit different. Instead of pulling off tricks for a score, you actually earn points after landing a trick called equipment points. Doing something as simple as a 180 spin will get you points, and pulling off more complex combos and special tricks will nab you far more equipment points. Spins and flips are pulled off by simply pressing the analog stick in a specific direction once airborne. Now, there are special tricks to execute here, and these are initiated pressing the face buttons in a specific order. For example, pressing ABA will do a specific special, while pressing ABXY will do another special. Some take minimal time to execute animation-wise, while others require more airtime to complete and land. However, while you can pull off special tricks at any time when airborne, the catch is that you must unlock those special tricks. To do this, you must collect special trick tokens that are placed throughout Mount Garrick. Collecting one will unlock a new special trick, which can be viewed in the pause menu. As you accrue equipment points, you will unlock new outfits and boards. Outfits are purely cosmetic, but the boards will affect Naya's stats. The better the board, the better she will perform overall, whether it's getting more air or just boarding down the mountain faster. There are only 4 boards to use, and unlocking them won't take terribly long once you grasp the trick system. What's interesting is that there are 2 types of tricks, air and half pipe. When in the air, you can use the controls to pull off tricks as I mentioned. However, when on a half pipe, your controls are locked up a bit, and you can only pull off certain special tricks that pertain specifically to half pipes. For example, there was a mission that requires pulling off X number of half-pipe tricks, and it took me several tries to realize the game wasn't glitching out by preventing me from doing tricks, but rather that different trick combinations needed to happen for these tricks to be pulled off. Additionally, you can do hand plants by pressing the B button and pushing up or down on the analog stick when approaching the lip of a half-pipe so you can do a lip trick. I'll be honest, the half-pipe sections just never feel as fluid as they should due to the trick control limitations here. There is also a practice mode where you can just free roam the mountain starting at any unlocked ski lift location and go at your leisure. To be fair, there's not a whole lot different here from just free roaming in the main game itself, other than the fact that no missions are being offered and a specific music track is playing in this mode. Additionally, there is 2-player head-to-head multiplayer. Both players can choose from a cast of characters in the game, as well as the NPCs, and then choose from 3 unique modes of play: Wrecking Ball, Race to the Bottom, and Half-Pipe Battle. Wrecking Ball has both players trying to knock down as many objects as possible while reaching the goal or waiting for the time to run out. Race to the Bottom is your traditional one-on-one race down the track and see who can finish first. And Half-Pipe Battle is a matter of who can score the most points on the half-pipe. There's definitely some fun to be had here, and I could have seen this being a multiplayer mode I would have had fun tackling with friends back in the day. Also, upon beating the game, you can replay the campaign with any of Naya's friends that assisted in the story. The objectives remain the same, but it was nice to see in-game cutscenes now show the chosen character in use. Also, I do have to commend Radical Entertainment in creating a mountain that can be boarded down from top to bottom without loading screens in between. While nowhere near the scale of SSX3, which was released almost 2 years later from this release, and takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes max to board down this mountain completely, it's impressive to see the developers achieve this at an early stage of the 6th generation of consoles. Dark Summit is a game that grew on me the more I played it, but it wasn't without its issues. As mentioned earlier, the half-pipe trick system is incredibly limited and feels like an afterthought. While it starts to jive once you get the hang of it, there's still just not much to do with it. Also, the missions in this game have bizarre difficulty spikes. Some missions are very easy, and then the next mission all of a sudden will be driving you up a wall. The final missions in particular had me borderline rage quitting. There's one mission where you need to sneak into a top secret location, and if the ski patrol so much as taps you, it's an automatic mission failure. The worst part is that even if you stay ahead of them, they teleport based on trigger points in the mission. The final mission though? Man, Radical Entertainment doesn't play around with their final missions. While not to the degree of controller-shattering anger like The Simpsons Hit and Run's final mission was, the final mission here requires utmost precision, and a single error will result in a mission failure. Thank goodness this is one mission that at least has a checkpoint in it. Also, the physics at times can feel pretty wonky, and reorienting Naya after bailing sometimes feels quite off. Lastly is the map. While there is a radar that gives you an indicator as to where NPCs and missions are, I do wish it was more than just this gray circle with blips. While these points may be minor to some viewers, it all does add up to detract a bit from the overall enjoyment. Despite that though, this game kept me coming back till the credits rolled, and even then, I went back to try and complete the remaining missions I missed. Visually, Dark Summit looks pretty solid for an early GameCube title, but it's not as strong as others that launched in its time frame. The environments all blend a dark tone with vibrant visuals at the same time. Locations are designed quite well to immerse the player and evoke the sense that things are not as they seem on Mount Garrick. Texture work is okay, but does have some low-res texture at times. Geometry is also very apparent, and you'll see line breaks between the terrain and even Naya's facial model, and wish they could have just cleaned this up a bit, as it does pull you away from the immersion. Animations are acceptable though, but they can seem disjointed and stiff when bailing. The special trick animations do fare quite well though. Frame rate wise, while I haven't played the PlayStation 2 or Xbox versions that released a few months prior to this version, I've heard the GameCube version has a more stable frame rate, which is interesting as the game fluctuates between 30 frames and close to 60 frames depending on the scenery. Funny enough, the inconsistent frame rate didn't affect the gameplay overall for me, and I didn't get irritated by it, so that's actually a good thing. I will say, the game has a good amount of screen tearing happening though, and that is quite noticeable. In terms of audio, Dark Summit has a dark ambient score while riding down the mountain. Each location sets the tone for that mysterious locale, but when missions start, the techno-rock soundtrack kicks in to amp up the intensity. The soundtrack overall isn't anything too memorable, but definitely fits with the overall gameplay and immersion. There is one song that is awesome and was the song that played for the final mission and a few others prior that really does fit the game perfectly. Sound effects and ambience all do a great job capturing the feel of snowboarding while feeling like you're on a mountain. There is voice acting as well, and while nothing award-winning, it does the job well enough. Naya will say some one-liners if she bails during gameplay, and NPCs that are skiing down the mountain will speak to you as well, and it just gives life to the mountain overall.
Happen again.
Dark Summit is a snowboarding game that definitely aims to be something different, and I truly commend it for that. It took some time to grasp, but once I did, I really enjoyed my time with it. While not the best snowboarding offer on the GameCube, it's one that's still very much worth your time if you're a fan of the genre, but want something a bit different. Mount Garrick may have some dark secrets to expose, but it's a fun time from top to bottom.